Hello painters, this is a video about single action airbrushes. So I got this compressor and my first single action airbrush on Amazon, along with two dual action airbrushes, which I haven't tried yet because I'm just so working out how to use a single action airbrush that I haven't even got started on dual action airbrush, and I'm looking forward to that happening in the future. So this is a Paasch single action airbrush. You just push down the button and it sprays, and you open up this little nozzle. It's the shape of a cone, just a little bit. I give it like a fraction of a turn. That's all I do. I got U.S. Art Supply airbrush flow improver and also airbrush thinner. I put in 10 drops for one of these containers. I put in 10 drops of flow improver and 20 drops of thinner, no matter what it is. These primers, I've painted with them without thinning, but no matter what it is, if it's airbrush cleaner, if it's a speed paint, or whatever it is, I'm now going to add thinner to it. And then whatever's left, I pour back in the bottle. And once it's too thin, it won't work. I'll replace the bottle. So that's my approach. It's also alcohol-based, both of those. So probably if I left the cap off, it would kind of evaporate out. And I might be back with what I started with, I'm thinking, too. So I'll let you know in the future and make a video about it. One very important thing is to clean the airbrush right away. So I take it apart with an Allen wrench, and then this needle right here, this is the needle, pulls out the back, and as you're unscrewing the nozzle, this little cone-shaped thing. And I clean both of those immediately after painting. I only do one color now at a time and let it dry. I immediately clean that before I do anything else. I disassemble it and I run hot water through the faucet through it, and then I blow through it backwards. So I blow through it. Kids, don't try this at home. I blow through it on the needle end. Be careful you don't poke through your cheek, until I'm sure it's clear. And then I do the same thing with the cone. Now, I always have to do it twice with the cone. The first time doesn't do it. I need to hear when I'm blowing from the tip out. So I'm blowing it backwards. So I put the tip in my mouth. I need to hear it be very clear. So blow on it until the pitch doesn't change. Probably the first time, if you're like me, it won't do anything. And then you're sure it's clean. And then I mix up the paint. Like I said, I fill it up about 3/4 of the way. Plenty of paint for large terrain jobs. And add my flow improver and thinner, and screw it on. It'll start painting immediately. It always does. The only problem you can possibly have is these little containers here, and don't buy the ones without elbows on them, thinking you're going to store it in it, because they don't have any gaskets and they don't work. Although I'm going to make use of mine just for paint storage with some saran wrap as a gasket. But don't buy them thinking you can store paint in those and just screw them on, because they don't have gaskets. That little hole right there, I think you can see it, kind of the color change. It looks kind of less black than the rest of it. Not this out here, but that thing there, and not this paint. That little hole there needs to be clear for this to paint. That's the only problem I've ever had where it doesn't paint. And I bought, through Amazon, I bought this set of cleaners. There's the Allen wrench that I opened up the Paasch single action airbrush with. I bought this as like an airbrush cleaning kit. And it came with 2 key rings. One of them has brushes, which are great for if you need to clean inside these nozzles or inside the I forget what this part is called, this little shroud here. If you need to clean inside it, these brushes are great. But for those little holes, for lack of a better term, I call it a reamer. I use the biggest one that'll fit in that little hole, which is, I think, the second smallest, and make sure that that hole is clear. This came from a shaving kit to clean my shaver, electric shaver, and I use this to clean the bottle. It's kind of hard to get down in here in the joint between the elbow and this cap, so I use this to make sure that the paint is off of my jars. As soon as I've cleaned the airbrush, then I immediately clean these. And what I've found to do is to not add any water and dilute it. What I do is I find it pours almost completely because of the thinner and flow improver in there. Kind of improves its characteristics of flow, of course, hence the name. And just pour it right back into the container. And it does really well like that. And then I just waste whatever's left in the cap and the bottle. I go with hot water again and get it clean. Turn it upside down on the sink until it's dry and then put it away. So I use single action airbrush for priming. I use it for putting the shifters, iridescent paints on the model after I've done painting by numbers. And that's what I use it for so far. I've done a little bit of detail work, and I triple prime where I paint the whole thing the darkest color and kind of paint in the middle a medium color, usually from a 45-degree angle at the bottom, and then paint from the top with the lightest color, white. Also called zenithal priming. I like to call it triple priming. I've also done that. I've done a little bit of detail work, not too much. That'll be with the dual action airbrush that happens. So let me know if you have any questions. Please leave them in the comments. I'm sure there's something really, really super important that I forgot. So make sure you tell me what that is, and I will try to answer it for you. Thank you, painters.